down as a flow chart when somebody is no longer losing weight. And first of all, 1 week is not something to completely sink the ship over, right?
No.
I mean, but people do that. People freak out. I didn't lose weight this week. What should I do? Let's make a change.
It must not be working. I can't believe I didn't lose weight.
I would never, ever, ever make a dietary change with just 1 week of results.
Me either.
It would take me probably 3 weeks before I think, okay, we may be seeing a trend here. But I'm still looking at smaller data points along the way. Like, even if I'm not seeing much of a loss, let's see, are you hitting any new lows during the week? Are the weekly averages any lower? And I'm really looking for a confirmation of what the actual performance is. So let's assume we just really are stuck. So a couple things might be happening. Before I ever get to reducing food any lower, I'm not going to make that assumption. I'm going to always assume accuracy could be the biggest factor. That could be with your clients. So let's go through some war stories. We've all got these. Tell me with things that your clients have shared where they swore they were fine and then you found out otherwise.
Oh man, which one do I go with?
Let's hear a couple.
Let's see, the most recent one is that I can think of off the top of my head, that this client, she, swore was really doing good with her tracking from what she told me. Worked with her for probably a good month or 4 to 6 weeks already into it, hasn't lost any weight, hasn't made any progress. So I'm digging through her habits and what she's doing every day. She's like, no, I'm on it 100%. I'm not missing anything. I'm counting. I'm weighing everything accurately. I even went to her house and asked, how are you doing this? Because I had to look at her equipment. So I'm like, all right, we're going to dig into the nutrition stuff here. She showed me how she's weighing stuff just to get the accuracy down so she understands that she's not missing anything. And she swore up and down she was doing everything. And we were already like really low calories. And she's actually a physique athlete. And so she was almost down to under 1,200 calories and working out 4 or 5 days a week, and also cardio 5 days a week too, and it was just too much. And so I did go lower than that for a little bit to see what would happen, and she still didn't respond. Well, come to find out, her daughter actually accidentally ratted on her, and I work with her daughter too, and we're training, and she's like, yeah, my mom does this, and she like eats extras, peanut butter and all that. She was describing her day the day before, and I looked at her logs, and I'm like, she didn't put any of that down. And she's like, oh no, I don't tell her I said that. And so I'm like, how often does she do that? You already let the cat out of the bag. You gotta let me know more. And so she kind of unfolded some things. And so I confronted her, and came out to be that she's eating more than what she was reporting. And so she didn't really think of that. Like, she was making food for her family, and she was eating extra bites of stuff. Or like the tablespoon of peanut butter, she'd weigh it, and then she'd just throw in a little more.
Just a little more.
Just a little more. And so
it won't hurt.
It added up so much. And so once we reduced that and fine-tuned that, she started to lose weight.
Yeah. And, this is something that you don't want to confront clients and say, you're a liar.
No.
I would always ask a couple questions, like maybe we just don't have the goalpost in the right position. If you're having to eat more and cheat just to survive, we need to either adjust what our food intake goals should be, or maybe it's that you are consuming too much simple carbohydrates, or maybe you're eating so many meals during the day, so many small meals, that hunger just accumulates over the day, and you need to break that apart and have some bigger meals here and there. I do want to talk about that by the time we're finished today. But, there could be many things, but it's not about nailing somebody who's non-compliant. It's about figuring out why and how do we fix that.
Yeah, and the goal, at least for me, and I assume it's for you, where you want to save as much food as you possibly can, digging into their habits of little things you can fix without taking their food down is like the number one key, because you want to try and keep it as high as you can and make the progress you need. To kind of piggyback off of the reversing, eating more food, where do you get situations like that where you're trying to, if you work into the point where you're cutting food and their habits are in place, and you assume their habits are in place, but then you find out they're overeating, do you increase their numbers and meet them where they're at to kind of psychologically help them that aspect where they think they're eating more, but really they're not. It's just you're meeting them where they're at.
Well,
The overeating tendencies.
Yeah, I'm always going to try and bring accuracy back into the forefront. So I want to accurately know what they're consuming. But if that level of food they were eating, I mean, we're assuming that there's a plateau. That's what we're talking about. So I'm not going to just say, okay, since you're eating that much anyway, let's just count it and we'll stay there because that's what's causing the plateau.
Right.
I would more so say let's make some kind of a change somewhere, and I've had this with clients as well. It's countless amounts of clients who, after just excruciating effort on my part, trying to figure out why they're not
It's
losing,
like
doing all of these things.
So
6 months later, they'll say, "Oh yeah, I was just binging like crazy." Not telling you. This happens so many times.
Yes.
But sometimes there are legitimate mistakes. Like I had a client who was eating 5 boxes of Tic Tacs a day, thinking they were sugar free. Well, those sugar free, the serving size, they were getting 150 grams of carbs a day in these sugar free mints.
Or gum is like that.
Yeah.
Crush 3 packs of gum.
And they'll think, okay, well, I'm chewing, so it's burning the calories.
Yeah.
Another person, Paul Ravella discovered a brownie, kind of a protein brownie company just recently. Their carb content was 3 to 4 times higher when tested than claimed. So he had a client eating a couple of these a day, thinking I'm getting 25 grams of carbs. She was getting 125 grams of carbs. So one of the things I do when somebody's reaching a plateau is I'll address the accuracy issue and objectivity. But part of objectivity is looking at processed foods, packaged foods. We talked about this a couple weeks ago, restaurants. And I really want to get as few moving parts as possible to see what we can manage. Sometimes it will be meal spacing and volume, like we mentioned a few minutes ago. So I might say, look, if you're eating this many meals a day, let's try and break it down into 4 larger meals instead of 6 smaller meals. That gives you more time in between to burn body fat, and that can be helpful for people. The final thing that I do before I would ever actually reduce their calories, if I think they're okay. I mean, sometimes you have to make a reduction, but I don't immediately, as a knee-jerk reaction, just start cutting calories. I will say this: if I think that somebody has an accuracy issue, I will go back to high structure. If you, Mr. Clients, would eat the same food, if I create a meal plan that I think is going to be spectacular, would you be willing to eat that every day for 1 week? I know there is some difficulty because you're not going to have any options, no flexibility, but at least for 1 week, would you do that? I have never in 25 years had somebody not start losing weight rapidly again.
It's insane. I had one client that was like that, where he was actually a 63-year-old man that he dropped a bunch of weight initially, or actually for about 4 months, we dropped a good amount of weight, but he wanted to get leaner. And he was stuck for like 4 weeks at the same weight, same conditioning, same everything. And I knew what his problem was. I knew he ate out every single meal, and I mean every single meal, but he ordered everything specifically. He's like, I order everything, this way, this way, this way. I don't do anything extra. And I go, there's something there that's not right. And I go, and I volunteered my wife. Thank God. God bless my wife. I go, at this time, she was really into this, and I said, hey, how about we do this? How about for 1 week, or no, actually, I said 3 weeks, we'll cook your food, make all your meals, 100%. We will deliver your meals to you because we're really good friends with him too. And so we delivered the meals, gave it to him. He ate all those meals, immediately lost 7 pounds the first week. He thought for sure he was hitting, and we didn't change any numbers. We didn't change at all.
That's a good consultant, by the way. You guys, if you're going to be willing to go to your clients' homes.
But I was like, I had to prove this point where I'm like, you're not doing anything wrong. It's just he didn't know he was doing anything wrong. Where he had to see it to understand. And after that, he was like, oh, that's what it looks like. I have to really reduce the eating out. But he was so adamant on, no, but I'm ordering it well.
Yeah, and those are the mistakes people can make. That it's not even their mistake. It can be somebody else in the restaurant and processed food industries. But so what if you finally get down to that point where you feel like you do need some kind of a reduction? This is where you do need to know that the metabolism does gradually come down. We mentioned this several videos ago, that if you have a heavier body weight, then you're just using more calories. As you get leaner, you get healthier. So, I know like my resting heart rate, I think, is in the 40s. I get tested, and that's part of having a slow metabolism, right?
Nice.
The reason why my mom's side of the family all lives to be in their 90s and they never work out, they don't do anything exceptionally healthy. We all have hypothyroidism and slow metabolisms and all that. The good side of a slow metabolism is longevity. When your cells are replicating more slowly, you get more lifespan out of those cells. So here we're all like rushing, trying to get the fastest metabolism, and the healthier your clients become as they lose weight, their bodies just don't need as many calories, and that is so antithetical to what you read in the sensational media, where if you're lean and healthy, you need more calories, your metabolism is going to be sky high. If you're active, that's true. You're burning more calories being active, but at just your basal metabolic rate, that is totally the opposite.
You can thank mom and dad for giving you the blessed genetics. Like, you can't change your genetics. People think you can, right? You just can't.
And the one thing is, no matter what that genetic spectrum is for you, as you get leaner and healthier, your metabolism is going to hit the bottom end of that range.
Now, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. If you find out, okay, so you hear the reverse dieting thing right now with the increasing food, like we talked about. Have you ever heard with people, and you've probably never done it, the reverse process with those people before, but you'll come to find out that when you do that reverse process, when you increase the food, like what people describe, every single person I talk to, that when they come back down, there's really no difference in their intake.
Absolutely.
There's no difference at all.
100%. So, as a pro bodybuilder, I've dieted down to about 150, 155 pounds several times in my life, over 20 years. And every time I get to that level, my food intake is the same, and my lean body mass is the same, and nothing changes, because for my genetics, that's the bottom end of efficiency. That's where my body is leanest, healthy, and so my metabolic needs are right there. There is an argument to be made for doing that inappropriately. Like, again, let's say I did a very low carb diet, and so I could unduly suppress my metabolism lower, ended up losing more lean body mass. I've actually done that, but in a typical diet, you're always going to end up in the same place.
Yeah, it's and then people find that out. They're like, oh, I guess I'm really broken because I can't eat more while I'm dieting. And so they get this belief, and it's really not true.
But the one thing, as you move your clients down in calories out of necessity, first of all, it should be very relative to what they're already experiencing, because as their metabolism is just coming down a natural suppression, their hunger levels will match that, and so a little less food doesn't necessarily bother them. But you do have to be careful of a longer-term diet. So if somebody we mentioned this a few episodes ago about diet breaks, and if somebody's been just cruising along dieting for 3 or 4 months, maybe you do need to bring their calories up to maintenance for a little bit and give them a break. A lot of times just social events take care of that for you. How many clients end up going on a week or 2 week vacation, and I will make that a good strategy point to say, you know what, I don't want you to lose weight on your vacation. I don't want you to come back 10 pounds heavier, but let's go through some decision making ahead of time, how you're going to interact with food, and let's give you the allowance. If you've been in a 500 calorie deficit, that's a pretty nice bonus every day that you're not used to for a week. That gives them a diet break, and it gives them the learning, the skills to know how to deal with those situations and not always gain weight.
Definitely. I went through that with you. I went on a 10-day vacation years ago, back in 2011, for a prep, and I was scared to death. I was 6 weeks out from a show, but you're like, just keep in your calories and you'll be good. You can probably go over a couple of hundred here and there, but if your ratios are off a little, so what? But you're still within range and you're good. And so that kind of gave me relief, where I had strategies in place that I did and executed, and I came back leaner.
Yeah, and you're also more active on trips like that.
Yeah.
So it is an interesting thing, guys, to always have to be